Good evening, students. So good evening all of you. So welcome to Unacademy EAMCET YouTube channel, students. So myself Dr.Rajendra Prasad, biology educator on Unacademy EAMCET platform. So in today's class we'll be discussing about the principles of inheritance topic. Okay, students, now let's see about Unacademy EAMCET YouTube channel. About Unacademy EAMCET YouTube channel, students. So welcome to Unacademy EAMCET YouTube channel. So Unacademy EAMCET has reduced. So Unacademy EAMCET has reduced its Unacademy EAMCET has reduced its plus courses up to 40%. Students, you can see there is a reduction in the prices of the plus courses by 40%. So 40%. So if interested, you can use my code RAJENDRALIVE and you can purchase these courses. So let us see what are the different prices plans that are available. So before that, if you're interested, you can use my code RAJENDRALIVE. So you can use my code RAJENDRALIVE and purchase this Unacademy EAMCET YouTube EAMCET plus courses, so that you will get 10% discount. If you use my code RAJENDRALIVE, you will get 10% discount from that. So let us see what are different pricing plans that are available on our Unacademy EAMCET plus platform, students. So 1 month trial plan. If you see 1 month trial plan, so 1 month trial plan is costing around 1500 rupees, students. So 1 month trial plan is costing around 1500 rupees. So whereas 3 months trial plan, if you say 3 months trial plan, so 3 months trial plan is costing around 3750 rupees, students, and this is for 3 months. And the 6 months plan is also available. 6 months plan is costing around 6000 rupees. So 6000 rupees is the course plan. So it is for 6 months actually. So we recommend you to go for the 6 months plan, so that we can have a full-fledged preparation with the 6 months plan, students. Then there is a 12 months plan is also available. So 12 months plan is costing around 8250 rupees, whereas 24 months plan is costing around 12,000 rupees. So these are the best plans that are available on our Unacademy EAMCET platform, students. So try to utilize these plans, so that you will getting the course for a very less amount. So this is the best plans that are available, students. I suggest you to purchase these courses, as these are of very less amount actually. So no other plans on our Unacademy website is giving the offering the courses for a very less price actually. So no other platforms on Unacademy is offering for such a less amount actually. So that's what I want to tell you is, so utilize this chance. So let's see what is the importance of taking Unacademy Plus subscription. So Unacademy Plus, what is the benefits of taking Unacademy Plus subscription? So premium content. So premium content will be available at affordable price. So structured live courses and dedicated live doubt-free sessions takes place. So quizzes. So quizzes will be conducted at regular intervals and batches for complete preparation. So let's see what are the different batches for the complete preparation for the students who are preparing for coming EAMCET examination. So there is one batch is running already. So this batch is called Rapid Revision Telugu batch. You can see this is the Rapid Revision Telugu batch, in which I am taking the biology classes, whereas other educators are taking chemistry and as well as physics classes, students. Similarly, there is another Rapid Revision Telugu batch, that is for the PCM. So that is for the physics, maths and chemistry people. So there is another batch. So similarly, there is a later batch. So there is a later batch for students preparing for EAMCET 2021, in that we have PCB batch and as well as PCM, so for BIPC and as well as MPC students. So you can enroll in any one of these batches, students. If you're interested, you can use my code RAJENDRALIVE and purchase this plus courses, students. Now apart from this, a daily test series is also available on our website. That is absolutely free, students. You can practice daily 20 questions, and you have a scheduled time of 20 minutes. And these all tests, these all are free. You can evaluate your performance, you can attempt many times, so that you will have well aware about how to practice the multiple choice questions. And you can practice regularly, so that you can develop a daily confidence by practicing these questions. So for students who take plus courses, so there is a test series. So test series are also available. You can see more than 45 mock tests. So more than 45 full-length mock tests are available for students who are taking the plus courses. That is for students who are taking the plus courses. Students, try to utilize this. So this is how we have to enroll for the plus courses. So this is about our Unacademy EAMCET plus courses, students. So I suggest you to purchase these plans, and if you are interested, you can use my code RAJENDRALIVE and you can purchase this course. So let us discuss about the Mendel's laws in this today's class. So Mendel has conducted experiments. So Mendel has conducted experiments on the pea plant. So Mendel has conducted experiments on the pea plant. So the pea plant, the name of the scientific name of this pea plant is called as a Pisum sativum. So name of the plant is called as a Pisum sativum. So that is the name of the scientific name of the plant, that is Pisum sativum. So he has identified the contrasting characters. So let us see what are the things that was done by Mendel in his experiment. So Mendel selected the traits that were either present on different chromosomes. So we know that in pea plant, if you take the pea plant has 2n is equal to 14. So 2n is equal to 14 is the chromosome number of the pea plant. So that means it is having 7 pairs. So pea plant is having 7 pair of chromosomes. So pea plant is having the 7 pair of chromosomes. So 7 pair of chromosomes are present in the pea plant. So Mendel has selected 7 pairs. So these 7 pairs, so the Mendel has also selected 7 characters for his study. 7 characters he has preferred to study, and they are present on the different each character is not, no two characteristics are present on same chromosome. The characters which Mendel is studying, or traits which Mendel is studying, are located on different chromosomes actually. So they are present on different chromosomes. And Mendel also have conducted mathematical, mathematical and statistical analysis. So because of that reason only Mendel's experiments were accepted. Why the Mendel's experiments were accepted is because Mendel has conducted experiments, and after conducting his experiments he has given the calculations. So mathematical and statistical analysis was done by Mendel so that accurate results have arisen from his experiment actually. So that is the reason why he was more successful in getting the results than compared to the other scientists who also have worked on the pea plant earlier than the Mendel actually. So Mendel has selected traits which are present on different chromosomes but not present on the same chromosome. So that is the reason why Mendel has succeeded in his experiments actually. Apart from that, he also conducted mathematical and statistical analysis so that he got an exact results. Now let's see about the monohybrid cross that was conducted by the Mendel. So term itself is telling monohybrid cross. So that means Mendel has studied. So what is this monohybrid cross indicates is that Mendel studied one character at one time. So Mendel has studied only one character at one time. So at the time, only one character. So he has studied only one character at one time. So such condition is called as a monohybrid cross. So what is this monohybrid cross means? The Mendel has studied only one character at one time. Such type of condition is called as a monohybrid cross. So Mendel performed monohybrid crosses taking. So how he has conducted? He has conducted monohybrid crosses by taking one pair of contrasting characteristics. He has taken a pair of contrasting characteristics like T and T. Okay. So here this T and T, that is nothing but it is here the character is of course that is plant height. So the character which he was discussing is about plant height. So plant height, now this plant height, that is a character that has gene. So every gene has two contrasting alleles. So what are the two contrasting alleles? Capital T. So capital T is the one allele and another one is small allele. In that capital allele is the dominant allele. So capital T is the dominant allele, whereas small t is a recessive allele. So now this is a recessive allele actually. Now this is the recessive allele, whereas capital T is a dominant allele. So small t is a recessive allele. So Mendel crosses. So Mendel has first studied the one character at one time. Such condition is called as a monohybrid cross. So studying of the one character at one time is called as a monohybrid cross. And Mendel has chosen the plant height. Okay, so that is the one of the character that Mendel has preferred. So in the plant height, there is a gene is present. Every gene has two alleles. So in plant height, the gene responsible for plant height, that particular gene has two alleles, and that is capital T, which is called as a dominant allele, and small t, which is called as a recessive allele. Now what he has done is, in the monohybrid cross, he crossed the homozygous tall plant, that is capital T with homozygous dwarf plant. And whatever results obtained in F1, the full form of F1 is called filial generation. F1 means it is called filial generation. So whatever characters he got, so all the tall characteristics, majority in the F1 generation he got tall character actually. So let us see the results. So what he has done is Mendel has taken homozygous dominant capital T. Okay. So capital T is a homozygous dominant. This is homozygous recessive. So this is dwarf. Small t indicates it is a dwarf, and now this is a tall plant. So from this genotype, capital T from this genotype, and small t from this genotype we will get the gamete. So of course let's see what is the gamete. So we will get only one type of gamete, that is capital T, whereas here from small t we also get one type of gamete, that is small t. So when both, so capital T, small t. Now this is F1 generation. Now this is called as F1 generation. Now what type of plant it is? It is a tall plant. So capital T, small t, that is a tall plant. So after this F1 generation, whatever the plant, whatever the individual that is obtained in F1 generation, that is again self-pollinated. So capital T, small t, capital T and small t. So we got capital T, capital T, capital T, small t, capital T, small t and small t, small t. Now based on this, we got, so from this finally we got the genotype ratio as capital T is to capital T, small t is to small t, small t. So that is 1:2:1. So genotypic ratio, if you see, it is 1:2:1, and if you see phenotypic ratio, now this is tall and this one is also tall, now this is also tall. So phenotypic ratio, if you see the phenotypic ratio, so phenotype ratio is 3:1. So 3 are tall and 1 is dwarf. So this is what the results that was obtained in the monohybrid cross. So these are the results that he got obtained in the monohybrid cross. The results that was obtained in the So that is about this condition. Now the same thing you can clearly see here. So the parent, so what is the parent here? So parent is two parents. One parent is tall parent and it's having genotype as capital T. Another parent is a dwarf parent. It has a genotype of small t. And what are the possible gametes? So capital T and capital T. So these are two gametes, of course same type. Here also small t. So that is the reason. Now in F1 generation, we got individual that is called as a tall individual. So this based on the F1 results, based upon the results that was obtained in F1 generation, the law of dominance was proposed. Okay, so remember students, Mendel has proposed 3 different laws. We know that first law is called as in that the first one, that is the law of dominance. So this law of dominance, so the law of dominance was proposed based upon the results obtained in the F1 generation. So what is happening in F1 generation and why the law of dominance have arisen is, So what Mendel has, when Mendel has conducted experiment, he found that in F1 generation, in F1 generation, in F1 generation, only the dominant character is expressed. Only the dominant character. So only the dominant character is expressed. Is expressed in F1 generation. So this is based upon the results of F1 generation. So based upon only on the results of F1 generation, he proposed a law of dominance. And according to him, he told that what is law of dominance means in F1 generation, only the dominant character. So even though we have two alleles, especially in the two alleles, the dominant allele that is expressed, and F1 individual is showing a dominant character. So that's what he was identified. F1 generation, only the dominant trait is expressed. So that's what he has identified. The dominant trait is expressed in the F1 generation. Now whatever individuals we got in F1 generation, that were again crossed with each other. And what happens again? He got in F2 generation, and when he find out the results in F2 generation, he got that the three individuals, 3:1 ratio. So he obtained the phenotypic ratio obtained is 3:1. You can clearly see here, and whereas genotypic ratio is 1:2:3. So this clearly shows that in the F1 generation, only one of the parent which is dominant is expressed, whereas in F2 generation, based upon the results of F2 generation, he came to conclusion that at the end of F2 generation, all the parental characters are identified. So all the parental characters are observed. Means that is both tall parent as well as the dwarf parent. So both parents are observed. Such type of conditions. So that is called as a law of. So at the same time, we should remember that law of segregation. So segregation of the gametes actually. So law of segregation. So segregation and law of dominance, both laws that was proposed by the Mendel, they are proposed based upon the results obtained in the monohybrid cross. Based upon the results obtained in the monohybrid cross at the F1 generation, the law of dominance was proposed. So why the law is called law of dominance? Because in F1 generation, only one of the parental trait or character is expressed, and that is the dominant character. So dominant character of the parents, one of the parent is expressed in F1 generation. Because of that reason, it is called law of dominance. Whereas in the again another that is called as the law of segregation. So law of segregation is also proposed based upon the results of monohybrid cross. He identified that there is segregation of gametes is taking place. From the F1 individual. So like that, so what happens is finally at the end of F2 generation, he identified that there is a phenotypic ratio is 3:1, whereas genotypic ratio is 1:2:1. So like that, these are the ratios that is obtained in the F1 generation. Okay. So let us see what are the observations of Mendel's experiment. So at the end of the Mendel experiment, he identified that all the F1 progenies were tall. So all the F1 progenies were tall at the end of Mendel experiments, and he called them as hybrids. So he called them as a hybrids. Then these are the observations from Mendel actually. So that's what. So law of dominance is totally based upon the results of F1 generation. So based on that only, he identified that. So law of dominance has came because of this observation only, that all F1 individuals are tall. Of course, we know that tall is the dominant character. It is a dominant character. So he called these as hybrids. Then F1 always resembles either of the parent. Of course, the F1 is resembling either of the parent, and what is that parent is? Of course, it is a dominant parent which we has come across. Then the trait that appeared in F1 generation, is called as a dominant, and other which do not appear in F1 population is called as recessive. So trait which appear in F1 generation is called dominant, whereas other which do not appear in F1 population, it is called as a recessive. Which do not appear in F1 population, it is called as a recessive. Which appear in F1 generation is called dominant, which do not appear in F1 generation, it is called as a recessive. But then he also found that F2 generation showed showed reappearance of character, which is not shown in the F1 generation. So we know that in F2 generation what happens, we have seen dwarf character also. Dwarf character also has been observed. Okay, which is not shown in F1 generation. The dwarf character is not shown in F1 generation. F1 generation we have seen only the tall character. In F1 generation we have seen only the tall character, whereas in F2 generation we have seen the dwarf character. Next, 1/4 of the F2 generation plants were dwarf and 3/4 were tall. So 3/4 were of the tall. So 1/4 of the F2 generation plants, they are dwarf, whereas 3/4 where 3/4 of them were tall actually. So 1/4 of the F2 generation plants were dwarf and 3/4 are tall actually. So none of the characters shows blending. So no plant was of intermediate height. So in this Mendel's experiment, this is one of the most important point which you should remember. None of the character. So we have seen either the plants are tall or plant is dwarf. In F1 generation we have seen only tall plants, whereas in F2 generation, we have seen only tall plants is seen in F1 generation, whereas in F2 generation both tall and dwarf. So both tall and dwarf plants are seen in F2 generation. So none of the characters showed blending. So none of the characters showing blending. So blending is nothing but it is the mixing. So none of the characters showing blending or mixing. So if mixing is observed, certainly plant should have intermediate height. So because of that, there is no mixing occurs. There is a plant was intermediate height was not observed. So no plant of intermediate height. So no plant of intermediate height is observed. So none of the character is showing blending, and no plant of intermediate height is observed. Next, so either they are tall or dwarf. Then identification of 3:1 ratio as hidden as 1:2:1 of the pure and hybrid form. So of course 3:1 ratio, this represents it is a phenotypic ratio, but if you clearly see the genotype, it is hidden in the form of 1:2:1. So that's what Mendel was telling, the same thing. So Mendel has identified all these things. So when Mendel has studied, he identified that when he identified the phenotype from outside, it is showing the 3:1 ratio, but when you go for the genotype, there is a something different ratio, that is 1:2:1. So like this, Mendel has identified all these results from his experiment actually. So let's see what are the inferences of the Mendel's experiments. What are the inferences from the Mendel's experiment actually? So let us see about the inferences from the Mendel experiment. So if you see the inferences from Mendel experiment, what are the inferences from the Mendel experiment? If you see, only one parental trait. So only one parental trait expresses. In F1 generation. So only one parental trait. So only one parental trait is expressed in F1 generation. Such trait is called as a dominant trait. Such type of trait is called as a dominant trait. So only one parental trait. That is his inference. Finally, what is inference from the results? Only one parental trait is expressed in F1 generation, and that is a dominant one. Okay, but the traits expressed in F2 generation is in 3:1. So whatever traits that are expressed in F2 generation, what are the traits that was expressed in F2 generation? is in a proportion of 3:1. So that is in a 3:1. Next. So let's see what is significance. What is significance of the Mendel's experiment? So this was the first statistical analysis. So we were discussing that Mendel, before Mendel also some other scientists like Fairland, they have done experiments on Pisum sativum, but they could not get succeeded in explaining the results properly or demonstration of results properly. Reason is because they could not apply the statistical analysis and mathematical logic applications. But in Mendel's experiment, what happens? Statistical analysis. The first time statistical analysis was done, and mathematical logic was applied in the problems of biology. So first time what happens? Statistical analysis and mathematical logic was applied in biology. And his experiments, if you see his experiments have large sample size. So the experiments are having very large sample size. So Mendel's experiment has very large sample size, means his experiments are having more number of plants. So how much number of plants? If you see, he has almost conducted studies in plants in thousands, like approximately 6,000 plants. So because of this, what happens, which gives some greater credibility. So when the number of sample size is very more, accurate results and more credibility can be obtained. Actually, that is a benefit from his experiments. So his experiments have very large sample size. So the large sample size, it may extend up to 6,000 plants. So that is the reason he has his own credibility because of that reason. Then, on the basis of monohybrid cross, he also formulated a generalization of which becomes two laws. So based upon the monohybrid cross, what happens? We were discussing the same thing. He proposed two laws, and what are the two laws? He proposed a law of dominance and as well as law of the segregation. Now, once see what is law of dominance states that. So if you see the law of dominance, so how do we define law of dominance? If you see that. So law of dominance states that when a pair of alleles or allelomorphs are present in F1 hybrid, then only one of them expresses itself, whereas masking the expression of other completely. So that means in F1 generation only one of the allele will be expressed and other one will be completely masked. Okay, so that is called as a law of dominance. Actually, that is called law of dominance. If you see the law of segregation, when pair of alleles or allelomorphs are brought together in F1, they remain coexist without mixing, okay, or blending with each other, and they separate or segregate during the formation of gametes. So whatever alleles which are brought together, we have seen capital T, small t, they are brought together now. But what happens during formation of gametes? Gametes are haploid, so they have to get segregated as capital T and small t. So such process is called as segregation. So law of segregation is taking place when the genotype has alleles, and these alleles will segregate when formation of gametes is taking place. So that is what the law of segregation is. So this is about the today's discussion, students, on monohybrid cross. So before ending the session, so once again I would like to introduce about our Unacademy pricing plans. If you see, students, Unacademy pricing plans, so we have a 1 month plan. So 1 month plan is costing around 1,500 rupees per month, students. If you use my code RAJENDRALIVE, you will get 10% discount. So from the 1,500 rupees, again you will get 10% discount. That means 150 rupees will be deducted from 1,500. So you will get this particular pricing plan or course for 1 month, that is the 1,350 rupees. So such a will benefit for you, students. You use my code RAJENDRALIVE when purchasing this 1 month or 3 months or 6 months, whatever plan you purchase, use my code RAJENDRALIVE, so you will get 10% discount, students. So 3 months plan, if you see 3 months plan, which is pricing around 3,750 rupees. At this moment, I think it is the best plan I suggest you to purchase, because within 3 months we are about to have EAMCET examination in AP and as well as Telangana. So I suggest you to go for this plan, so 3 months plan, which is costing around 3,750 rupees. So in that, again, if you take 10% discount, you will another 375 rupees will be deducted from that particular 3,750 rupees, so that you will get the course for a defined amount. So if you see 6 months plan, 6 months plan is costing around 6,000 rupees. So in that 6,000 rupees, if you use my code Rajendra, you will get 10% discount. So you will be having a deduction of 600 rupees, so that you will get the course for 5,400 rupees. So certainly it will benefit for you students. We have a good and best educators on our platform. Certainly it will be helpful for you for your best for the preparation of the coming medical entrance examination. Similarly, we have 12 months plan. If you see 12 months plan, so 12 months plan is costing around 8,250 rupees. And similarly, 24 months plan, we have 12,000 rupees for 24 months plan. This is the best plan for students who are freshers, who has to prepare for the EAMCET for 2022. This is the best plan I suggest you to take. So anyhow, use my code RAJENDRALIVE students, so that you can get the course for the given plans. So thank you students for attending the class. See you in the next class, all of you.